First of all, sorry I'm late. Honestly, I don't have a good excuse. I just lost track of time. So, good afternoon. Appreciate everybody being on here. Didn't get the job done in Lubbock on Saturday. Didn't play bad, but didn't make the necessary plays late to win the game. And if you look at most of the Big 12 games, not just ours, but most of the Big 12 games, outside just a few, they've come down to the fourth quarter. And three of our Big 12 games have come down the fourth quarter, and we're 1-2. And if you look at our Oklahoma State game, one-score game, under 4 minutes to go. Our Baylor game obviously goes into double overtime, and then one-score game again on Saturday night in Lubbock. So we've got to find ways as a staff and as players to finish those games, because that's the way it's going to be in our league. Quick game recap: I thought our special teams were much improved. Our punt team did a really nice job in coverage. I thought our punters, we got 2 balls inside the 10. We've got we still can get some more hang time on our punts, but I thought our punt coverage was really good. The fake was a big play, led to a touchdown. I think we've got some ways to go with our punt return. Obviously their punter had a career day. 87-yard punt and another one that was really long. And so, but I think we've got some improvement to make. Kickoff return didn't really have an opportunity, and then our kickoff team really bounced back. I thought they really set the tone with how they covered. So proud of those guys. And then Evan Staley had a nice day. If you're looking at it, did a good job kicking off. Then two field goals there, and he had a good week of practice too. So I think that kind of foreshadowed. Defensively, just got off to a slow start. We for whatever reason weren't sharp early. The opening series of the game kind of set the tone for them. The explosive run, we just misfit. Similar in a lot of ways to the Oklahoma State, the other explosive run that we gave up against them, we misfit it. But I thought we played, from when they scored their last offensive touchdown there midway through the third quarter, from then on out, we played well. Disappointed in how we finished, giving up 2 first downs. We had an opportunity with 2 third downs to get off the field, and we didn't do it, to give the offense more time there at the end. But they were able to ding us in the run game, and we've got to get some of those things corrected. Offensively, did some good things. Obviously, the fumble was critical at the end. I know you talked about the drop passes. We'll get better at that. But I thought Daggy played his best game probably in his career here so far, throwing the football, getting the ball out on time. We protected well, not as well the last couple drives. So I don't know if we got fatigued or what. Looked like to me more of a loss of technique. But those are some of the kind of the highs and lows. But it's a game that, credit Texas Tech. They made a play to win the game, and we didn't. And so I feel like that we had opportunities to win. It's a disappointing loss, but we've got to get ready and kind of turn the page to a Kansas State team. And when you think of Kansas State, whether it's under Coach Kleinman or under Coach Schneider, it's a disciplined football team that plays extremely hard, and they're difficult to really prepare for in all 3 phases. If you look at them defensively, 4 down front, I haven't seen everybody, but really, really good talent. I would go out to say one of the top 2 most talented teams at defensive end. Really rush the passer. Hubert's special. They've got a couple other kids at the end spots that can really rush the passer. Extremely well coached, in my opinion. They've got answers for everything that you do. They've always played the run well. Playing a lot of guys in the secondary, and they've had some COVID issues, and you can't really tell. They rotate a bunch of guys in, and all of them have been productive. They're difficult to move inside. I think that's why people have a hard time running the football on them. They're difficult to move. Offensively, talked about it yesterday on the teleconferences. Will Howard has a real calm demeanor about him. He's a big kid, strong runner. He makes 2 or 3 really difficult passes each game he's played for explosive plays. I think Messingham's a really underrated play caller. I think he does a good job of getting his pieces in a position to score points. If you look at him, in a lot of offensive categories, the numbers don't blow you away, but then you look at scoring offense and it's impressive. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. The Bond kid they've done a great job with him. He's elusive. He's an issue. We're gonna have to ID him wherever he is on the field. And then Briley Moore at tight end. He's a guy that does a nice job in the run game, but they found ways to get him the ball. And he's a big kid, breaks tackles. He can run for his size, and they don't give up a bunch of negative plays. The offensive line does a nice job. So, and then special teams, and that's just going back again to when Coach Snyder was there and then Coach Kleiman taking over. It's kind of in their culture. They've had a lot of walk-ons. Some of them that have earned scholarships, and then they just play extremely hard. They blocked 3 punts this year. They do a great job with what I call their direct angle. The guys they put in that position to go block a punt, they take the fastest line between them and the punter, and they've been able to block 3 of them. And then their punt returner has done a great job. Returned 2 for touchdowns versus Kansas. I think they've got 4 or 5 returns of 25-plus yards so far this year. So it's going to be a huge challenge, not only in protection but also in coverage for our punt unit. Last year, I think they returned 4 kickoff returns for touchdowns, so they're explosive in that regards as well. And just really sound and great effort on special teams. So looking forward to getting back onto Mountaineer Field, getting back home here, and hopefully whatever the number that we can have in the stadium, hope we get that. We're going to really need our fan base this week. Kansas State, top 25 team. I think it's a critical matchup in our season, and I look forward to watching our guys respond in the right way and play better this week. So with that, I'll take questions.
First question comes from Greg Hunter. Go ahead, Greg.
So, Coach, I'll start with the obvious one. You touched on drops. How do you coach that for improvement but not kill a kid's confidence?
Yeah, you just practice it. You know what I mean? It's we've talked about this before. There's techniques. A lot of drops are due to hand placement, not necessarily hand-eye coordination. A lot of them are because you leave your feet. You don't ever want to leave your feet. You got to run through the ball. You got to be soft with your hands. And so we'll continue to coach the techniques. Not going to affect how we call the game or how we approach it. We're just going to catch more balls. That's the way that I know to get better at it, is you just catch more balls, and that's what we'll do. And we'll continue to believe in the guys, and we'll put guys out there in a position to make plays.
Coach, next question comes from Charles Montgomery. He asks, what has impressed you the most in Winston Wright's progress in just his second year to be the leading receiver for your core?
Yeah, he loves to play. That's the thing that really sticks out to me, is he wants to be coached. He doesn't get in his feelings when he is coached. I was really proud of how he approached the quarantine time and the work ethic that he went through. And he's got really good. He's got quick feet at the break point, which allows him to get open, and he does a nice job getting vertical after the catch. And so. And he's improving in other ways too. He's proven as a blocker, and so I'm pleased with his progress. I don't think he's a finished product, but he is getting better, and I think he will only continue to improve. And he's been our best guy so far. I don't think there's any question about that.
Next question goes to Chris Anderson. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Coach. Not to be the guy that harps on the drops thing, but when I was looking at it, ESPN stats had him with 7, Pro Football Focus 3. Kind of indicating that this stat is subjective. So that leads me to a 2-part question for you. As one, as a former receiver, receivers coach, etc., how do you determine what is and is not a drop? And 2, what was your final number for Saturday and or the season?
Yeah, I don't have it on the season. I would say Saturday was in between 5 and 6. And I think that what we talk about is just a catch percentage. We want to be at 90%. I think that's a realistic goal. Anything above 90%, you want to catch 9 out of 10, and that's the way we approach practice. That's our expectation. We probably didn't hit that on Saturday. It's such a results-based deal, and try to build into our kids about the process, not necessarily about the results. Chad Scott, our running backs coach, he has a good saying, and it stands true: is you're only remembered on your bad days. And so, our receiver group as a whole probably played their best game overall as far as perimeter blocking, route running, and all those things. But you remember the bad plays more than you remember the good plays. And so is that fair? I don't know. It is what it is. That's reality. But here's the thing: is it's not something that we're going to harp on. All we're going to do is work. We're going to work. What's it look like when you go back and you work at catching the ball? You got to get more. We'll get more opportunities. All right, we're going to continue to throw the ball. I think we've thrown the ball. Daggie's played well. We've protected well the last 2 games. I think almost 700 yards passing in those 2 games. We probably left another 150, maybe 200 out there. So we're going to continue to do that, and I'm in full belief that our guys will catch the ball and will make plays.
Next we'll go to Kevin Kinder. Go ahead, Kevin.
Coach, you mentioned how Kansas State was using Deuce Vaughn, and obviously you've expanded your use with Letty also. I know they're different types of backs, running styles, but there's some similarities there with the way you've incorporated Letty overall in your attack and what you see K-State doing.
Yeah, so I don't have our stats, but my assumption is Letty's probably in our top 3 receivers. But we've moved him around a lot. We've played him a lot on our empty packages. We've motioned him to empty or lined him in empty. We feel really confident with him running our complete route tree. And they're using the Vaughn kid in very similar fashion. Letty's bigger. Vaughn probably has a little bit more shake to him, but both really good players in our league.
Next question from Cody Nesper. Go ahead, Cody.
So, Neal, I was wondering if there was an update on Van Darius, and then in his absence, how much has Jared Bartlett's play meant?
Van Darius tried to practice last week, just didn't look like he was ready to go. We've been getting good production out of that position. We were really using it by committee anyway. Bartlett and Tonkery, even before VD got hurt, they were splitting time at that position.
Coach, our next question comes from Bob Hartzell. He asks, you said your team didn't finish the 4th quarter and that it seemed tired last week. Looking at the snap counts, there was very little, if any, substitution from the O-line, the corners, the safeties, or the Stills brothers. What are you doing to get your depth up to where you need it?
Yeah, so the major emphasis there is where we do have some depth, and we've got to do a better job subbing is on the defensive line. The other areas, this kind of is what it is right now. But on the O-line, we played 6 guys. Gamitter came back and really played well in his first game back after being out for some time. Really had his first full practice last Tuesday of game week and did a nice job. Defensive line, we got to do a better job of rotating guys in. That was a point. I think we got worried with the tempo, but we got to do a better job of getting our 2s in on the D line early in the game, and that's something that we've got to improve. The other guys, we're gonna roll. The defense line's where it shows fatigue. Feel like our safeties and our corners and our offense lines kind of is what it is right now.
Next question comes from Mike Casaza. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, Mike. How are you?
I have a question for you just on preparation stuff. One goes back to the last play. It looked like maybe on TV 3-4 seconds, and then there's that whole thing about whether or not you can clock it. You can't do it with 1 second. I don't know if that's
the clock.
Look at.
The clock, yeah. I didn't get a good answer on that. I thought we should have 3 seconds. That's what our plan was. I thought we should have 3 seconds to clock it. But go on, yeah. I never got a good answer on that. I felt like it should have been 3. That's what it looked like on film to me. But with 3, we would have spiked it. That's what our kids are built to do. I think our guys were kind of surprised that it had 1 second too. We've got a whistle play, and I want to say it was probably 2/3 executed. If Daggy probably had another second, we had a chance. But go on, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's very much what I wanted to get to, and you gave me some of that. But I just wonder how much you can change in between the snap, personnel, alignment, whatever. And then separately, when you have something quick like the Fields injury, or the ejection, or an injury, whatever, and you're going the whole way, you made some pretty significant changes at linebacker there. How much across the board do you have planned for, rapid, significant, if-then, stuff like that?
Yeah, so we always talk about it in our Thursday staff meeting and then on our Saturday AM staff meeting, we always play the what if game, and so right now the way we've been practicing and the way we went in that game was Tony's playing at Mike, Jared and Tonk have really been splitting the reps at our bandit position, and then basically at Mike, Chandler moves over like he did in the game. When Chandler went out for a play there, Tonkery moved over and played Mike, which he's capable of doing. Obviously, he's done that a lot in his career. And then Exery is at will, and that's kind of what we went. We went with Exery at will, and then Josh played Mike. But we kind of worked through that. They practice a lot at those positions. So we'd rather had Tony in the game. Yes, he's our starting Mike. But those guys, Josh and Exery, had a lot of practice reps at those positions.
Next question comes from Michael Sussman. Go ahead, Michael.
Often after a tough loss, you look to the leaders on your team to keep you guys motivated and engaged. How has the response been from your leadership, and who are a couple guys in that locker room that you really rely on?
Yeah, I don't think the motivation is going to be an issue. I think we got to bounce back. I don't know if we handled success on defense as well as we needed to. I also think Texas Tech was their matchup was more favorable against us than anybody that we had played to that point as well. But I think we got to be able to handle success better, especially defensively. So when you talk about leadership on that side, we got quite a bit of guys that have played. I think talk about you have Tony and Josh that have played a lot at the linebacker in the middle level there. Up front, you got Darius and Jeff Pooler who've played a ton of football. In the back end, you got Sean Mahone that's played a lot, and Alonzo Adai's a redshirt senior, and so some older guys there. And Nick Troy, as you saw here in this press conference a week ago, he's a really mature kid, and so we've got some really kind of I don't cornerstone, maybe for lack of a better word, I don't know, but those guys really will bounce back. Offensively, there's a lot more youth, and so Jarrett's playing better the last 2 weeks. So I think he's a guy that we'll look to for leadership. He's a guy that definitely has that about him. And then Chase Barron's been that guy for us up front. And at tight end and receiver, it's kind of a work in progress. TJ has the most experience, but he's been in and out. Didn't play last week because he had coming off the injury. Wasn't able to practice all week. So we're still looking for some answers there, and a lot of that's due to youth and some inconsistencies and those type of things.
Next, we'll go to Skylar Callahan. Go ahead.
Hey, Neal, last 2 weeks, Alec has only had 29 yards on 20 carries, yard and a half per carry. What is it in particular that's having him that he's seeing struggles? Is there anything in particular with the offensive line or just what the defense is doing or something that he's maybe doing?
So I think he hadn't played as well the last 2 weeks. I think that's fair. Some of that is, just due to the chance as much as anything. Some of the plays hadn't been blocked as maybe as clean. The one thing that we're going to stress with him, he's got to go back to being a one cut guy. Getting vertical. Patted his feet more in the game against Kansas and then this game against Texas Tech than he did. That's kind of where he got in trouble last year. So we've got to get back where he's really making a one stick cut and then getting vertical. He had one really nice run on a short yardage there. It's kind of give and take. He had a third down run where he missed the cut. We'd love to have that back. But then he had a really great run on a short yardage run there, I think, in the fourth quarter.
We'll go to John Antonic. Go ahead, John.
Just curious, the stats really don't tell the story on these guys. I mean, they've had, I think you said 2 picks for touchdowns, 2 punt returns for touchdowns, block kicks. Do you have to spend extra time preparing for some of these things that they do in that regard? And then to the second question, coverage-wise, are they a zone team? Is that where they're getting a lot of their picks that way? What do you see there?
Yeah, so I'll answer the second coverage first. So they do a good job mixing it up. Primarily a zone team. They got a lot of eyes on the quarterback, and what happens is a lot of those are really forced interceptions. And what I mean by that is they do a great job, getting pressure on the quarterback with a 4-man rush. They got like John, they're as talented as anybody in our league. Like I said earlier, at defensive end, and so you got to either keep guys in to protect, where you have a chance to throw the ball downfield more. So now you only got, instead of having 5 guys out, you got 3 or you got 4, and they're still dropping 7. Or you get your guys out and those ends, or they run games to get those in one-on-one situations, and the quarterback's under pressure and he's throwing the ball quicker than he wants to, and that's causing those interceptions. As far as they've scored either set up scores or actually scored defensively and special teams. And some people say, well, that's, to me, that's complementary football. And that's what we're trying to accomplish. We are quite a bit better, but we haven't always played good complementary football this year. And what I mean by that is when defense plays well, offense plays well, feeds off of it, get a sudden change opportunity, defense takes it away, offense goes and scores. We're able to do that on Saturday, which is a step forward, but we haven't done that throughout the year. And same with special teams. I think they play great complementary football. I think they create their own breaks. I don't think any of that's luck, happen chance, anything like that. I think they create their own breaks. And they do that because they're really fundamentally sound. They're well coached. I think they got discipline. They play with a lot of they in a word, they compete. Those guys, man, they compete and they create those opportunities. Do we prepare more for it? We invest a lot of time on special teams. Sometimes it shows, sometimes it doesn't. It showed on Saturday. We did some really good things. We're gonna spend a lot of time on it. Will we spend more? Probably about the same we always do, but we have a lot of respect for what they do schematically and even more so about how they play in that phase.
Coach, it seems like they have kind of a scorer's mentality on defense too. When they get a turnover, they're looking to take it and score, right? So you have to be extra cautious of that. Your guys, if you do make a turnover, hey, get them down. Yeah,
exactly. And we try to work some tackling drills, things like that. That's the frustrating thing about the other night. The ball was on the ground, and we didn't have a chance. I mean, that guy we never had a chance to make a tackle. But it matters. Look at that. What a tremendous play. If you want to see somebody with great effort and it's competing, watch that DK Metcalf run the guy down on Sunday night. We'll show that clip to our guys. I mean, that's what we're trying to do. Hopefully we won't turn it over. We got to do a better job. That's been one thing that if you fumble the ball, it makes it hard for you to win. And if you look at these teams that win, especially close games, they're usually not fumbling.
We'll go to Keenan Cummings. Go ahead, Keenan.
Hey, Neal, I got 2 for you here.
Okay.
How do you feel your tackles are progressing? And secondly, you mentioned
Keenan, you broke up. Say it again on the tackle question.
How do you feel your tackles are progressing? And secondly, you mentioned defensive line depth. How's Taj Austin coming? You still expecting him back?
So let's answer the Taj question. Taj is really progressing well in his rehab. We're going to open his conditioning with the hope this week. Hopefully we can get him maybe where he can practice and within the next 2 weeks, or hopefully he can, if he doesn't have any setbacks, coming off an Achilles injury and it's he's ahead of the curve. Our hope is we can get him some action later in November. So, and then the first question about our tackles, I think John Hughes is getting better. I think he can continue to progress. Brandon Yates is a guy that has a lot of talent. I thought 3 quarters, he didn't play as well in the fourth, but through 3 quarters, probably played his best game against Texas Tech. And he's only going to get better the more he plays.